Greetings, YouTube. This article I'll be referencing here is actually from earlier March this year in March. I just hadn't got around to doing it yet. As U.S. attorney prosecutors prosecute more gun crimes, they are catching domestic abusers in their net. A woman is shot to death by a current or former romantic partner every 16 hours, according to FBI and state crime data analyzed by the Associated Press. Domestic violence claims the lives of children, innocent bystanders, and police officers called to help. It sometimes escalates to mass shootings. Abused women are 5 times more likely to die if their abuser has access to a gun. Aaron Neely Cox, a Texas U.S. attorney, is leading the charge to punish abusers who illegally possess firearms in an attempt to save women's lives. Now, while I consider this to be really laudable, I also believe that we should be endorsing the use of red flag laws that will take firearms away from abusive men, even if they own them legally. Because as the data shows, women are 5 times more likely to be shot to death, to be killed by their partners if they have access to a gun, legal or illegal. So people who have shown that they are, I gotta check a timer. People who have shown that they are incapable of being civilized and not being violent brutes need to not have access to firearms. It's that simple. And I still endorse a complete ban on all semi-automatic weapons. We don't need military-grade weapons in the public eye, in the public sphere. We just don't. We don't need them. No American needs that. There's lots of other kinds of firearms that will fulfill your hunting and plinking and self-defense needs. You don't need semi-automatic firearms to do so. And we need to get them out of the hands of abusive men because they're dangerous. They kill their partners and their former partners, and sometimes they decide that they just hate women in general and will go out to the public and just shoot people in mass shootings because they don't have the emotional vocabulary to understand what they're feeling, how to feel it, and how to deal with it. Because we don't raise men to have functioning emotional vocabularies. We teach them that the only legitimate language is the language of anger, of rage. It's the only time men are allowed to really express themselves is when they're pissed off. Any other time, if they show emotion, it's considered to be vulnerable, and they are publicly shamed for it. They are privately shamed for it. And they are told again and again, you shouldn't show emotions except for anger. And the result is angry men who hurt their partners and their children, and sometimes shoot them, or go into the public sphere and just shoot random people because they're angry and they don't like women and they don't have the emotional language and vocabulary to express what they're feeling and how to deal with it in a healthy way. So they use the one outlet that society has said is theirs: anger, violence. And this is the results: dead partners, dead children, dead cops, dead strangers. So let's get firearms out of the hands of abusive men. Take them away forever. They don't deserve them. They have shown they're not capable of being nonviolent. Maybe if they get some therapy and some therapist eventually writes them a prescription that says, hey, you are now legally allowed to have firearms again. Cool. Of course, this will probably be a backlash. It will only affect brown people. But in 2018, for example, all the domestic terrorism was conducted by angry white dudes who are far more dangerous to American culture than anyone that isn't white. But of course, taking firearms away from domestic abusers will always affect minorities more than white people because white people have privilege. They always have, and they always will. And we need to work on that. In the meantime, let's save some lives. Let's keep firearms out of the hands of violent men.